All right, testing, 1, 2, 3. I want to thank everybody for coming out to the Springboro Tea Party's reaffirmation of the Bill of Rights rally. This has been in planning for a little while, and we've been putting a lot of time and effort into it, and every last penny we could to try to get this bad boy to happen. So if anybody has good favor with the man upstairs, say a little prayer, and hopefully we have clear skies throughout the whole. Next, I'm going to bring up Eric Deaton. He is a former U.S. Senate candidate here in Ohio. And he started off as an independent, then he ended up joining the Constitution Party. And he's going to talk about the life of the Constitution. I guess that's the topic of his discussion today. And this gentleman also is an engineer. Am I correct, sir? Okay. So obviously he could definitely know the difference between a nut and a bolt, unlike some people in Congress and also our State House. So I want to welcome Eric Deaton, former U.S. candidate, Senate, and from the state of Ohio. Eric?
They're all nuts.
Real quick, we got some food coming up here as well, so we'll have that available very shortly. Thank you.
These working okay? Have you guys checked these? Hello? Okay, I haven't been doing much public speaking lately, but I came down here for Sonny to talk about the Constitution. He said this was a reaffirmation of the Constitution Tea Party, although he's covering a lot of subjects. How many times have you guys heard that the Constitution's a living, breathing document? You know, we've been having that fed to us for a long time. You know, that morality is subjective, and as things change, you know, we have to change the Constitution. As we have new challenges and technologies, you know, the Constitution needs to be reinterpreted and adjusted. Just, you know, you don't need a basis or a good footing, you know, a good firm foundation. You know, we have to adjust it as time goes on. It's been 200 years. We need to change this. Well, I campaigned. I said that was a bunch of baloney. You know, we were founded as a nation based on some very hard work put in by our founding fathers who were looking and thinking about this ever since the Declaration of Independence right up to 1787. In fact, we even had the Continental Congress in between. And they looked at 6,000 years of human civilization on Earth and looked at all the systems that have been in place, and they came up with something very different. And they decided that, you know, the rights of the citizens are ingrained in them by the Creator for simply being born in His image. And that would be the basis for our government. And people would only consent to be governed by giving up a little bit of that power to that government so that they could provide for common welfare, common defense, you know, promote the general welfare of the nation. But they'd be ultimately free. The rights to private property were first and foremost with our founding fathers. The life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Happiness actually meant property. And that property was not just physical property, but it was the rights to the wages of your labor. So that when you went out and worked hard and you grew produce and you sold it to a neighbor or, you know, the local grocery in town, that you had the funds from that and you could do with those as you please. And the government taxation at that time was very minimal. Imposts, duties, so a few tariffs on goods going in and out of the country. We didn't have income taxes. Property taxes were minimal. They were a state issue. So they gave us a very good system of government that that property was also intellectual rights, and they set up patent rights almost immediately. And with patent rights, you could work hard, create that better mousetrap, come up with a new product that the people really wanted, and go into business and make a fortune. And you were protected. Your intellectual property of that invention was protected for 25 years. You could make it yourself or you could license it. And look what that did for our country. You know, we invented submarines, hot air balloons in the Civil War. We had all kinds of farm equipment so that we could get higher yields and feed the population of this ever-growing country. Airplanes, automobiles, computers. We went to the moon in 1969 before we even had an integrated circuit chip. Went there on transistors. That's what the Constitution did for us, even though it started eroding before some of those accomplishments happened. So I campaigned hard that we needed to get back to the founding documents, that they were very good foundation for society, a society that's been running on that system of government, our charter documents, since 1787. So we're the longest running government in the world right now. There's not a government out there that's been around as long as the United States of America under the Constitution. So I campaigned hard for that, but I've come to realize that I was sort of wrong. You know, we, as a complacent population in America, we allowed our founding documents to be corrupted, and we allowed them to become that ever-evolving, changing, living document. It shouldn't be that way, but that's what's happened. When an anti-abortion group wants to get a 501c3 corporation so they can raise money without paying taxes on it, and they go to the IRS to apply for that, and the IRS says, well, we're only going to let you have that if you agree that you won't go out and protest in front of an abortion clinic. Well, right there's the First Amendment just got wiped out for that group, and that's happened to other groups on other issues. When all over the country we have states passing bans on what they call large capacity magazines, fully automatic rifles that they call them assault rifles, and they're not even fully automatic. In fact, they made up the term assault rifle many years ago just out of thin air when they decided to go after them. There's limits on how many guns you can buy in a month in some states, how many guns you can buy in a day, whether you can carry it concealed, whether you're allowed to have it in this location or a school or courthouse or at your own home if you live too close to a school. There's so many laws against the Second Amendment. How can we say that the Second Amendment's in place anymore? You know, they've been attacking it. The Fourth Amendment, we got the NSA now has admitted, you know, after Snowden came out and snitched on them, that they're monitoring 1 trillion phone calls a day. There's 300 million people in the country. That's over 3 calls a person. They're routing it through some database, and they know who you're calling, how long you're talking, where you're at when you made the call, and where the other person's at. And they're only going to listen to the call if they need to, but that's the Fourth Amendment. Unwarranted search and seizure, you know, you have to have probable cause. Well, the Fourth Amendment's gone. How about right in the Constitution, they talk about the taxation. There'll be no income taxes in this country, and taxes must be apportioned to the states. Well, they amended the Constitution and allowed taxation through an income tax. Now, the amendment process, yeah, there were changes in the country. There's technology and things they didn't think of. That's what the amendment process is for, but the amendment process wasn't to go back to the heart and soul of the Constitution, stick a knife in it and twist it. That's not a valid amendment in the process. But, you know, now we're taxed to death. All the money flows to the federal government, and your state governments can beg to get the money back. So then we get up to the Fifth Amendment and Sixth Amendment, and we have people being charged now through the Patriot Act and the National Defense Authorization Act, where they can set up courts and they can just suspect you of doing something with no real probable cause and haul you in to a private location, not disclose to your spouse or your family or your friends where you're at, not give you a lawyer, hold you indefinitely. Well, there's no Fifth or Sixth Amendment there. That's what they set up all the special courts for. There's courts in the basements of some of the buildings in the White Houses. You read about a project where they're going to renovate a building, and it's like $250 million. And you look at the building, and it's like, well, you could do that for $2 or $3 million. Well, that's because they built 6 layers underneath it, and they got all these secret FISA courts down there that they can haul you in, and you don't have a lawyer, and they can just hold you indefinitely, sort of like Guantanamo Bay. So I would say to you that we've let the Constitution be a living document. We've let it be changed right before our eyes over the many past decades. And the Constitution at this point's, not a firm foundation for a nation because we're not using it. And it's not a living, breathing document because I think the Constitution's dead. It's there for us to fight for, but we're only going to get it back if we're willing to go out and make that battle. We need to go out as a people and elect new leaders, not politicians, people from every walk of life to represent us, to send them to government positions of all levels for a term, to get the business of the people done, to minimize the scope of the government at all levels, and to start putting the money back in our pocket so we can make our own choices with our property as to what we want to do with our lives and what's important to us. The whole living, breathing document thing is just a bunch of malarkey because morality is not subjective. Morality is set in stone. It's given to us by God, and we all know it. We have gambling. That's just a little sidebar, gambling. Our government didn't want it. We didn't want it because it was in our state constitution we weren't going to have gambling because it was immoral. We knew that as a nation of Christians, that we knew that it was a bad habit. It was a bad thing. It didn't create wealth. But now it's okay because the government's getting a little piece of the action. It's still wrong. God isn't going to judge us any differently because the government's getting a piece of the action. We need to take our country back. And that doesn't mean you have to run for the U.S. Senate like I did and become a big target and spend 15 weeks in the road campaigning all over the state. You can run for your local village council, a mayor, county commissioner, school board member. There's all kinds of low-level positions. Some of them you put in a day, a month. And if you're not someone that has those God-given talents to be a representative in government, then find people that are, nominate them, push them in the right direction, let them know you think they'd be a good candidate, help them get their name out there, help them make the ballots, help them win a primary so that they're in a general election in the fall, give them money so that they can advertise so that other people can hear about them. We all have to get active. They're usually somebody that's already been in office before, or they're coming over from the House or a governorship, and you're just going to put the same problem back in there. So that's why there's new parties afoot, like the Constitution Party. The Libertarian Party's been around for years. We need to support these groups. We need to get them money so that they can start fighting back, so we can take this country back. Don't expect the two existing parties that have been running the country into the ground for the last 100 years to fix anything. They're the ones that caused the problem. Didn't matter who was at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, who was Speaker of the House or Senate Majority Leader, didn't matter which party they were from. We've had the trifecta. Back in 2000, we had a Republican president, Senate, and House. We've had Democratic Senate, House, and House representatives also. We got health care out of that. We see the results. Higher taxes, bigger government, higher debt. It didn't matter who was in power. So let's try something different. Let's get some new parties active, help seed them to get them, help candidates get their voices out there, heard on the radio and on television. Be willing to run yourself or get your neighbors to run, and it's important because our Constitution, as I said, I think it's dead. I think you read the newspaper every day and you will find out that our freedoms we once had they're already gone. They just haven't done the part of closing their hand around us yet to really subject us to the fact that we don't have those freedoms anymore, but it's coming. So thanks for your time. Thank you for letting me come out here, Sonny, and I hope the rain holds out. Nobody wants to go back to the car in a thunderstorm, but have a good afternoon.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Always enjoy listening to Eric speak because he's been there, done that, and he's seen what happens when you stand up and try to do something, how they try to, instead of talking about the issue, they always want to try to knock down the candidate. That's always a problem.
Give me shelter, don't leave me behind. It's your last life, don't leave me behind. So much pain now, don't leave me alone. Under the cellar door, beneath the floor. I'm losing the edge me enough, but I still want some more. Come on, give me some more. I've got no time for love tonight, because there's someplace else I'd rather be. A higher place in my so-called society. This red light's in my rearview mirror, and another bridge is burned. There's no turning back, I've reached the point of no return. I've reached the point of no return. I want it all and I want it now. I want my cake and eat it too. I'd like to burn the candle at both ends, it's true. When will it stop? Well, nobody knows. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. There's no end in sight, and I wanna do it all again. Come on, let's do it again. Stuck here in no man's land, headed out to parts unknown. I've been under the radar, but now my cover's blown. Looks like my luck's running out this time.